gonna finish the book. Hello guys, welcome back. We are finally starting to read for 2025. It feels like it's an at long last situation, but I suppose it's only been a week. But I did not read anything at all the entire first week of January, and I'm finally getting back in the flow. So, about 48 hours ago, I think it was on Tuesday, when I started listening to Nocticadia by Kerry Lake. Okay, I'm obsessed. I am burning through it. You know, when you wake up in the middle of the night or you wake up first thing in the morning, it's all you think about. The audiobook, flawless. It's so fantastic. I thought it was going to be good. If it's a duet and you like the voices, it's gonna hit. It's really good. It is like a dark academia romance plot. It's about a young woman, I think she's 20, whose mother dies and she's like financially responsible for her sister, and she's kind of working different jobs to try and make sure her sister's schooling gets paid for. So she's struggling financially. Her mum dies under very gruesome circumstances from an illness that she doesn't really know what it is. She does a load of research into the symptoms and she ends up getting accepted to the university that is the only place in the world, I believe, that studies the disease that she believes her mother died from. And so she goes to this university and it's all about her trying to find out what was the disease that killed her mother. There's like university secret societies, and then there's her professor who is nicknamed Dr. Death, or Professor Death. I think it's Dr. Death, but it's who's her professor, and he is the one that leads the studies on this disease. And it's all very creepy. The disease involves these like black worms that like basically eat the host, which is the human, but they can only be infected. But there's so much intricacy to it. There's so much going on that I don't even really know how to summarize the plot for you, but I feel like that's roughly it. Girl goes to college, goes to university to try and study the disease that she thinks killed her mother. That's it. And then she meets a professor there who's like a broody, very morally grey male main character. I feel like a lot of the times in books they say morally grey, and actually they are pretty righteous men, but they're in like a war-torn time, so like obviously they go off to war and like kill people, but actually these men are like very righteous and pretty morally golden. No, this man is like actually morally grey. Like he does very shady shit. Sorry, I never swear on the channel. But he does very shady stuff. Like he truly does. Anyway, I'm obsessed. I'm literally like guzzling my way through it. It was 15 hours an audiobook. This book is long. I have now 3 hours and 42 minutes left, so I'm absolutely loving it. I'll give you my final review when I get to the end. I've got a full afternoon of editing today, so I'm literally just going to go downstairs, sit by my laptop. It's so good when I'm in like the early stages of editing a vlog, when I don't need to listen to myself and I can just put an audio book in and just blitz. So I'm going to go edit, do my emails, probably just listen to this for the next 4 hours until it's finished, and then I'll let you know my overall rating. I think it could be 5 stars. I'm so engrossed, like so engrossed. I can't. It is definitely got like that darker theme to it, which I'm kind of getting used to. Like the first time I listened to like Butcher and Blackbird, the darker themes of romance like really put me off, and maybe I'm just a bit of a prude or whatever, but I'm a sheltered individual. But I was just so shocked originally, but I don't know, slowly I'm slowly I'm vibing with it. What can I say? I've now done that and I've listened to Lights Out. I think really that's it. But Lights Out has like prepped me fully. Lights Out was so outrageous that now I feel like I can just listen to anything. Anyway, thoroughly enjoying this, and then we're going to read a couple of other books. It's going to be a very relaxed vlog. We're literally just going to hang out, read some books. We're just going to get through the January TBR books that I picked in last week's bookish vlog. So I just want to spend the next couple of weeks worth of vlogs just chilling, nothing too intense, not forcing myself to read, not forcing myself to get through pages, just enjoying starting the year of 2025 books, reading when we feel like it and getting through our TBR at like a nice relaxed pace. So we'll see how many books we get through in this vlog. Hopefully a couple. Nearly finished Nocticadia, and then we'll choose our next one. So I'm gonna go sit back down now. I literally have like my one little thing that comes with me. I have no idea where the box is, but I'm just listening to this religiously. Let's go continue and I'll catch up with you in a bit. guys, I have so much to say. So much to say. I feel like I've had such a lazy couple of days. Really, it's the weekend. Today's Sunday, yesterday was Saturday. And I'm doing what I said I was gonna do in January, which is just like take it easy and just chill my way into the new year. And I've really done that this weekend. I think this is the laziest weekend I've ever had. I've just read solidly. I've currently got myself a cup of tea and a Kit Kat Chunky. When was the last time you had a Kit Kat Chunky? Cameron bought a few of them and I was like, oh, so nice. So I'm gonna have my cup of tea and a Kit Kat and do some more reading. But I have not checked in and I have, right, okay. So, Nocticadia by Kerry Lake was such a ride. It was such a wild ride and I loved it. I didn't think I was gonna love it as much as I did. It was way more gory than I thought it was gonna be. It was definitely like very descriptive scenes of like kind of torture and a pretty gruesome parasite like taking over the body, and yeah, pretty graphic descriptions of that whole thing. So definitely such a good October read. I know I've already said that. The romance was so good. Dr. Death. I can't spoil it, but actually I don't even know how to talk about this without it being a spoiler. So I feel like maybe I literally can't. But something happened. I wanted something to happen at the end. I wanted one of the main characters that's like in the sphere to do something at the end that they didn't do, which really bugged me. So like that was annoying, but apart from that I loved the whole thing. Like I think I'm gonna have to give it 4.5. It probably deserves more than that, to be honest. I think it was so good. I thought it was such a complex story. Cameron asked me what it was about, and when I was explaining to him all of the different plot points, he was like, oh my gosh, there's a lot going on in that book. And I said that, you know what there really was? It was a romance, but the romance didn't really kick in until a good like 50% of the way through, which meant one, it was like a true slow burn, which I really enjoyed. And two, there was so much else in the book. You're dealing with each of the main characters having very complex histories with their family that they're both dealing with and like processing the traumas from their pasts. You've got each of their academic pursuits and their true scientists they're called. It made my biology loving heart so happy because it felt like so much of the science and the study of like all of the epidemiology and the parasitology, like all of the stuff they were studying to me, and like it's not like I studied biology to a crazy degree. I haven't got any PhDs or anything. But as far as I'm aware, all the descriptors were really accurate of what it's actually like to study in a lab. Obviously minus like the torture in the bodies and like all of the dramatized storytelling of the plot, but the way that they study parasites and the complexities around parasites, symbiotic relationships or not with their hosts. I don't know, the whole thing was so well considered, I thought. It really felt like a book that Kerry Lake spent a long time writing. I don't know if that is accurate or not accurate, but so many books, especially so many books that come out of like social media, book talk, etc., can feel quite like written quite quickly, and some of them do just get churned out so fast. You think, how much time and care did you really put into that book? But Nocticadia felt really well considered. The spice was brilliant when there was some spice. I really thought the plot was well thought out and well considered. A little bit towards the end, it started to feel maybe a tiny bit like too unrealistic maybe, or like just too, yeah, kind of like too fantastical about, I was kind of a bit like, okay, yeah, I know, but like that really would never happen. But really good. I highly recommend. I was fully like gasping and like being like, oh no, I really don't want to listen to that, because some of it was really brutal. If you like dark romance or you like slightly darker themed books, I really think you'd enjoy it. It was fantastic. Then I picked up The Graham Effect and basically have just read the whole thing in like a day. Like I've binged the whole thing and I loved it. The way I literally had to like keep putting it down to like aggressively kick my feet. This was worthy of being in the off-campus series in its brilliance level. Like I said, I think some of the Briar U books just felt a little bit weaker to me and a little bit less well considered, and like they weren't necessarily needed. This was so good. The way it made my off-campus series heart feel, I've used that phrase twice now, so happy, because there were all of these mentions of all of the characters from the original series, and of course there's a decent amount of Hannah and Garrett in this book because they're Gigi's parents, who's the female main character. But Gigi and Ryder's romance was so good. I felt like the slow burn was appropriate. I love the fact that in Elle Kennedy's books, there's no, or as far as I recall, there's very little of the like miscommunication trope, which can be really annoying when it's like if you'd just spoken to each other better, that would have been not a problem and that wouldn't have needed a whole like third act breakup situation. It feels like the relationships are all decently well mature, apart from Logan and Grace from the off-campus series. Like his mistake was so immature and so icky to me. But yeah, I love Gigi and Ryder. I thought they had such a mature relationship for people that are so young. I loved the entire progression. I loved the fact that she was such a competitive athlete, and the focus of her sporting achievements was just as great as his sporting achievements. Even more so was the focus on her athletic ability, which I love. I don't really know what the trope is in here. Maybe it's forbidden romance. Maybe it's a little bit of like they strike a deal, like you help me, I help you. That's kind of the plot of how they end up spending time together. The banter is fantastic. I love the introduction of like this whole new friendship group. It's the same kind of setup as the Off-Campus Diaries of, you know, there's a load of guys all living in a house and there's like a group of girl best friends and a group of boy best friends. And I imagine in the same vein as with the Off-Campus Diaries, we've seen 2 of them come together and we'll now start to see some of the others come together as well. And it just means that the banter is so good when you've got so many friends all in one place together. There's something about the universe that Elle Kennedy has created with these hockey boys and girls, with these men and women that play this sport at this university. There's something about Briar University, there we go, that's what I'm gonna say. There's something about Briar University and this world that Elle Kennedy's created that I just eat it up. It just makes me so happy. And like Nocticadia, I almost thought I was gonna give Nocticadia a 5-star, and then I basically binged this so quickly afterwards, and the way this makes me so happy, I know it makes me such, like, so probably a bit pathetic that like I just don't love books that I don't like to be scared, I don't like to be sad. Like, I want things that make me feel optimistic and happy and positive about the world, and I'm just grinning. You can tell ear to ear after finishing this book. I got emotional at the acknowledgements, and I know that if the acknowledgements of a book make me emotional, then it was a good book. So I don't know if I'm giving this 5 stars or if I'm giving it 4.75. Maybe, honestly think maybe it deserves 5 stars from me. Like, that's how much I enjoyed it. Like, I've just had a whale of a time. The only reason I might not give it 5 is that the truth is that like I don't know if I'll be thinking about Gigi and Ryder specifically in the future, like if I'll think about them. But the Briar University world, I'm obsessed. It's a 5-star universe, which is why the same thing with the Off-Campus Diaries. I don't know if every single book is a 5-star, but like it's a 5-star experience. It's a 5-star experience. So I don't know, we'll see what ends up in Goodreads. I loved it. Right, now I need to choose a new book because it's still Sunday. We're about halfway through the day. I've got my cup of tea, I've got my Kit Kat. I need something to read whilst I enjoy these things. Oh no, my tea's already getting cold. Why do I talk so much? So the books that we've got currently on the January TBR that we haven't read yet, because we've knocked off 2 already. We've got Circe, the Prison Healer, and 6 of Crows. The truth is, the book I want to read next is The Dixon Rule. That's also why I think it deserves a 5-star, because there's something about Elle Kennedy's writing that is like so addictive. It's like a drug to me. It's so addictive. As soon as I finish one book, I immediately start on the second, and that's also what L.C. Silver's books did to me as well. I think I binged every single one of the Chestnut Springs series in 48 hours. Like, I read all of them in 48 hours, and I think I binged the Off-Campus series just as hard. So really all I want to do right now is read The Dixon Rule. So I might just do that and then re-enter fantasy. I'll also say that the Graham Effect, like, this is a big book for like a hockey college romance, and honestly it didn't feel it. I thought that I was going to be like, that was way too long, but I loved it. Didn't feel too long. Right, what's the plan? Okay, I think I'm going to simultaneously read The Dixon Rule and Circe. Circe I'm going to listen to on audiobook because I'm going to check what the narration is. But I loved the narration of The Song of Achilles. Was absolutely beautiful, and I often don't think it, but I really think the narration, the audio narration of The Song of Achilles brought the story to life in such a beautiful way. I'm really tempted to do the audiobook of Circe, which means that I also want a book that when I want to just sit down and read and I'm not up and about doing things, I might do The Dixon Rule, and then I can kind of binge it at the same time. Who is this one about? Oh, okay, perfect. The Dixon Rule is about another 2 of the friends in the friendship group. This time it's about a cheerleader. So one of Gigi's best friends is not a hockey player, she's a cheerleader. So we've got a cheerleader and a hockey player who's one of Ryder's best friends from The Graham Effect. So much fun. So I think I'm gonna start this now, and then I'll probably start this later on this evening when I've got some chores to do. Circe's tale is a vivid epic of family rivalry, love and loss. The inextinguishable song of woman burning hot and bright in the darkness of a man's world. Ooh, it makes me feel goosebumpy already. Okay, extremely excited. We're gonna do Circe and the Dixon Rule next, and then I think we're gonna burn, these are also happening in January. Like, there's no way at this point. My bookish soul has been revived. I'm back. All the stuff I said in my reset vlog about how I want to take my time between books, I want to sit in the bookish universe, that's all true, but it's very difficult to do once you're on the hype. Once you're sucked into the world of stories, it's so hard not to gobble up the next one. Right, I'm gonna get reading and I'll catch up with you in a bit, probably tomorrow. guys. I've been so bad at vlogging. And I just finished Cersei and I feel like I just want to sob. Oh my gosh. I shouldn't have put makeup on today. I knew I was gonna finish the book. I feel sad. I feel sad and I feel... But it's not entirely sad. It was just... I can take my headphones out now, I'm not listening to it anymore. It was a beautifully melancholic book. I mean, I don't even really know what happened in it. Like, there wasn't even like much... Song of Achilles had a stronger plot for me, and I guess because I already know about the Battle of Troy, it kind of had more of an engrossing effect on me, the plot. This was more like, this felt more of a like slow, gentle, it really felt like an ode to women and like the resilience and strength of women, or like a story about what it means to be a woman and all of the trials and challenges and injustices, but also like love and strength and beauty that comes, like just all of the paradoxes that come with womanhood. You can tell this is my live reaction and I've like not had a minute to really think about what I thought of the book. This is just like my word vomit immediately having finished it, but oh, it was beautiful, it was lovely. The depiction of the struggles of motherhood and like the femininity of connecting with nature in such a beautiful and profound way that does feel like something specially gifted to women, and the strength needed in a world where men are respected first and foremost, and even if you're a goddess, there are still inequalities in the way of the world. I don't know, I could go on. It was really beautiful. It was very melancholic. That really was the feeling that I felt throughout the whole thing. And it is a story of suffering, really. I mean, Cersei did not have an easy life, but there were beautiful moments in there, and there were experiences of great joy that accompanied a lot of her grief. Yeah, I mean, it probably is a 5-star just because it hits me so hard. I find it very, very difficult with, this is one of those times I find reviewing books really difficult because I haven't even spoken to you about, I'm going to do it separately, like I'm going to come back to you tomorrow probably and talk to you about the Dixon Rule, because I haven't even spoken to you about the Dixon Rule yet, because I just went straight into listening to Cersei. But I did already talk to you about the Graham effect, and sometimes I find it really confusing within myself how I could possibly give something like the Graham effect or Chestnut Spring series a 5-star and then also give a masterpiece piece of work like Madeline Miller's both books like 5 stars, and how those two things can both be true. But I think they just are for me, and if you get it, you get it. I think you can be a 5-star for vibes and 5-star, maybe that's the best way to put it. It's like 5-star for vibes and then 5-star because it was a beautiful masterpiece, and both are 5 stars just for like wildly different reasons. But oh, right, I need to shake this off. I feel like I could have just sobbed there for a while, so thanks guys, you brought me back from the brink. It was lovely though. Whilst I was in it, I actually thought to myself, I prefer the Song of Achilles. Now that I've finished it, I think I prefer Cersei. I think the messages that it left me with, it was so beautifully written. I really strongly recommend the audiobook. I feel guilty that I don't know her name off the top of my head, but I'm going to look up the voice actress or the actor who did that, because she was amazing. I thought her voice was absolutely beautiful, and the way that she portrayed the entire story was absolutely like just world class, like stunning voice narration, I thought. And I also thought the man that did the same for Song of Achilles was also incredible. So Madeline Miller picks some very brilliant voice actors and actresses, or it's actors now, isn't it? Both actors, amazing. Anyway, right, I'm gonna shut up. I need to like shake this off. I'll come back to you and talk to you about the Dixon Rule later. I just need to sit with this book for a bit and then we'll talk about the Dixon Rule. But yeah, we're 3 books in and I'm feeling so good. I don't know what the 4th one's gonna be. Did I already pick one out? It might be The Prison Healer that we read next, because I am itching to get to that. But like I said, I'm just gonna spend the rest of the day sitting with that book. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Okay, love ya. Mwah. See you in a bit. Okay, hi, I'm back. This vlog feels as chaotic as the emotional spectrum that I've felt reading the books from this blog. So I hope we're all following along okay. And maybe it's not as chaotic as I feel like it is, but I'm all over the shop. Wow. So, where do we even begin? Let's briefly go to the Dixon rule, because I definitely haven't spoken to you about this at all, I think. This is what I mean, I'm just not sure. I'm pretty confident I haven't talked to you about the Dixon rule at all. I flew through this. I honestly think 4.75, maybe. I 5-star enjoyed it whilst I was reading it, but it's not gonna 5-star stick with me, if you know what I mean. So probably somewhere around like 4.5, 4.75. This was absolutely brilliant. I tabbed like the first line that just had me howling with laughter, and it was something so small. It was like one of the first times that they interact, and it was something like, oh my god, you have a fish. Who has a pet fish? Have some self-respect, Dixon. And like the concept of saying to someone like, I can't believe you have a pet fish, have some self-respect. Like the banter in this was just so good from start to finish. I have never read a book as spicy as this one, or I've never read a spice scene in particular, if you know, you know, as like outrageous. Like I vlogged this, like luck, I can't believe, I'm so pleased I was filming. I just happened to, and I miss so many moments when I'm reading. Like I miss filming them, then the moment's gone. Somehow I managed to capture like the most outrageous thing I've ever read. I was like, it feels illegal that I even read that. Like that just feels like too private. Like I just shouldn't know. I just shouldn't know. Anyway, that scene also makes me very excited for the next book as well. The banter was fantastic. The vibe was fantastic. I think you do have to go into this knowing that it's not as like Briar U coded. Like it's not that much about the university. This is like a summer romance. This is such a good book to read in summer. It's kind of it's mostly set in the summer between like semesters. So it's not as like hockey and like hockey team banter, but I think the romance between Diana and Shane is so good. And it really has like a small town feel to it, like way more than the others do. There's like a homeowners association meeting that they attend that reminds me so much of like the town meetings from Gossip Girl, where you just got all of these different really eclectic personalities like battling it out with each other, and it's just so hilarious. And I think Elle Kennedy portrayed that vibe so well in here. So definitely I have seen some criticism of this book being like, oh, it's just like not the same as the others. And I think that's because it doesn't give you the same amount of like Campus Diaries characters, and it doesn't give you the same amount of like university life, but that doesn't stop this from being so good. So if you just go into it knowing that you're not going to get as much like hockey, but you do get a few bits in here with all of the guys from the Campus Diaries, which is so fun to read. There are also a few trigger warnings in this book that's just mindful to watch out for that I don't think that they actually put in the beginning. So I don't want to give away a spoiler. I'm not going to do that, but if you want to Google the trigger warnings, do, because there's a couple that are in the end. I think there is a trigger warning for domestic abuse in there. But there is another trigger warning that I think it couldn't hurt for them to have put in, which I don't think they do. So just to note that you might want to Google a couple of those in prep for this, but this was so much fun. I had the best time. I always had the best time with the Graham Effect. I actually don't know which is my favourite out of the two of these. Like maybe the Dixon Rule is actually my favourite. It was just so funny, but I do think like the romance, like I loved Gigi and Ryder together so much. I think their love was so amazing. Shane and Diana, I don't know how much I cared for like their actual love, but their dynamic was so fire. Like I just loved. Okay, right. I feel like Nocticadia I've already ranted on about. And then Cersei, I feel like it was a bit of an emotional recap, and I feel like it was a little bit of a negative recap as well, because I just ended it on such a like melancholic note. And I'd like to flip my script on that a little bit, because I think in truth, this is more of a story of someone who lives their life to the absolute fullest. And it's a story of a woman, or a goddess, but a woman finding her voice in like the face of adversity, and someone who has to learn to find their voice over many, many years. And it's not something that comes natural to them. And of a woman who really struggles with some darkness within her, but fundamentally wants to do good and is willing to fight tooth and nail for those that she loves. And I think those are all really beautiful things. So even though there is a lot of struggle in this book, it does end like happily, I suppose, in the sense that it is a journey of a woman finding her strength and finding her voice. And that is a very slow process, but she really does come into her strength and come into her voice throughout the book. And that's a really beautiful thing to see and read. So I think any woman, this just feels like an important book to read. I also think any women going through motherhood will find strong moments of being able to resonate with a lot of the story and some of the narratives on the complexities of motherhood, how hard it is, but how beautiful and how you just do it all anyway, even some of the suffering that comes with the role, but the degree to which it fulfills you, and no matter the pain, it's worth it and you do it anyway. And anyway, I just think any mothers out there will probably be able to connect to this on an even deeper level than just like womanhood. Anyway, right, I could ramble about this one for far too long, which probably means this one's definitely a 5-star. I am not going to read another one in this vlog, I've decided. I think that I've literally had a reading vlog of all books that I would rate over 4.5 stars. And that feels slightly illegal / unheard of, and literally the best way to start 2025. So I'm gonna call it a day there before I potentially ruin it with whatever my next read might be. For now, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this vlog. Sorry for the chaos. I hope you're having the loveliest week, and I truly cannot wait to see you in the next one. Bye guys.